Hey traders, Alan here, Mike Stats commentator at Global Prime Brokerage. In this video, I'm going to be building up from a top-down analysis my buy-side thesis on the alts complex. Do remember that we are fairly mature in this crypto bull run. Initially, what we tend to see in any bullish cycle within the crypto space is that first and foremost, you will have fiat entering the space. From there we have first the Bitcoin bonanza, there we have the Ethereum attracting those flows, and ultimately that starts to diversify into large, mid, as well as the small alts as well. So with that in mind, let's now analyze first and foremost, obviously, the king of cryptos. That's no other than Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the one that will determine, for the most part, the overall sentiment in the market. And at times, and this is one of those, there will be specific contexts or criteria that can be met that will, promote the further diversification into other vehicles of investment, the likes of altcoins. So technically speaking, let's look into this chart, because to me we have entered a broad range. We can identify the top side of the range up here, and this followed the actual head fake that occurred on the back of the Coinbase direct listing. There was a lot of euphoria that had been built up, and we ended up, long and behold, no surprise there, whenever we have exuberant levels of greed in the market, we ended up with this massive capitulation or liquidation event that blew up over 1 million accounts in the Bitcoin. In the crypto space, over 4 billion were liquidated in Bitcoin alone. So, but I digress. So let's continue analyzing this Bitcoin chart, because to me, broadly speaking, we have also reached through that liquidation candle what appears to be the bottom side of this broad range. Now, by identifying the midpoint of this range, this would then clarify even further the levels the battle levels, if you will. So let me now find what would be the midpoint, and that is around the 57,500. So I'm going to be drawing once again a horizontal line, and you will notice that if I keep dragging this line all the way towards the third week of February, that aligns fantastically well also with this top we saw out of that very, very strong bull run that got initiated after this accumulation in late January, early February. Okay, so that makes a lot of sense to define this as a broad range in the BTC US dollar market, with the midpoint well defined around the 57.5 level. Now, whenever we have a broad range in Bitcoin, think about the psyche of the market. They're actually starting to notice that Bitcoin is not delivering the same amount of returns that would have been possible back in February, even during this run. Those are the type of runs that draw interest into Bitcoin. However, even though Bitcoin in any way, shape or form is acting in a bearish manner, it has actually gone into a broad consolidation between 50 to 51,000 up to 60,000 to 64,000, and that is incentivizing the diversification of Bitcoins into the alts space. Now, whenever we want to analyze the alts space, the very first market that we want to filter is Ethereum against the US dollar Tether, and here we need to ask ourselves, is this market looking like it wants to continue higher? Yes or no? And to me, hands down, no ambiguity here. It looks to me like this retracement really was a blip, and we will continue to test higher levels. We are in what is known in financial markets, or in the crypto space as well, if you will, as we are in a price discovery phase by Ethereum against the US dollar Tether, having recently reached new all-time highs. So to me, there's definitely a very strong case still to be made for Ethereum against the US dollar to keep, exploring higher levels. Now, why is it that whenever we want to define the outlook for the alts complex, Ethereum is the first getaway into the altcoin. Well, because Ethereum is the dominant in that category. If you think about the crypto market, we can partition the crypto market into two main categories. One, which is governed or is dominated by Bitcoin itself. It is the one that really controls the narrative. And then outside of Bitcoin, you've got another asset, the likes of Ethereum, that is also an outlier in terms of the market capitalization that has attracted over time. The way that Ethereum is going to be behaving will in a large degree determine also the prospects for altcoins. So by agreeing that Ethereum against the US dollar Tether looks pretty damn good, then we can start to continue this analysis by looking at Ethereum against the Bitcoin market. Now we have concluded that both BTC against the US dollar Tether as well as the Ethereum market against the US dollar Tether both are looking bullish. So now we can actually move into the next step, and that would be to clarify which one out of the two are most bullish, either is the Ethereum market or the Bitcoin market. And here we can clearly see that ever since we took out this peak right here in early April through this very commanding candle, it's been a phenomenal consolidation taking place, and after that, once again, a markup in price, and the momentum in the Ethereum against the Bitcoin market just keeps on building, and that somehow obviously reinforces the idea that altcoins should be performing relatively better against the Bitcoin market. So this is one of those rare occasions that happens once every 3 to 4 years, where if you really are interested at the end of the day, you know, thinking big picture in stacking more Bitcoins into your account, more Satoshis, this is the time where you can speculate into the alts space, okay? Because Ethereum against the BT is also communicating that the path of least resistance continues to the upside, therefore you know, opening the doors to speculate, as I said, into the alts space. Now if you wanted to have even more technical evidence, we can start to cross-check the performance of the alt space excluding Ethereum against Ethereum itself through this chart, Ethereum against total 2. And what you'll see here is that we actually had a very significant breakout of structure ever since this swing low got taken out. And notice that after accepting for about a week, we had a retest, and that retest was clearly rejected with now a consolidation at lower levels. It looks like both Ethereum and altcoins, as per the last 5 to 7 days, there's been some consolidation, and that again, it is telling us, it is a tell sign that alts are performing as well or even better than Ethereum itself. And since Ethereum is obviously outperforming Bitcoin, it is a great time to be gaining exposure in the alts space, even against Ethereum itself, although the real alpha here is to be exposing or getting those trades in either alts versus the Bitcoin market or alts versus the US dollar Tether, depending on what is it that at the end of the day you want to be accumulating in your account. Is it BTC denominated account, or do you want to actually be thinking more about US dollar terms? Okay, now one more chart that it is very compelling, and it's been thriving for months, I'd say, and with an acceleration ever since we broke this range, is the altcoin versus the BTC US dollar. So essentially this chart is an extrapolation, if you will, of the performance of the whole alts complex against the Bitcoin, and it really portrays a very powerful story here, because ever since we had this breakout of the range structure, it's been a one-way street. And again, this really exemplifies and communicates very clearly that if you want to be stacking Bitcoins in your account by speculating into longs, alts versus BTC denominated pairs, this is the time. Notice that it's been a very consistent run. There has been just a few tiny corrections, and now notice that even in the last 5 days we continue to find further and further acceptance, to the extent that during the last Sunday liquidation event, this barely affected actually the alts versus Bitcoin market, and that is a massive testament of how healthy this trend continues to be in the alts space versus the BTC market. Now, when it comes to the alts versus the US dollar Tether, the trend itself has been even more consistent overall. Notice that we have been on a protracted run ever since the COVID-19 black swan event right here in March. If you had been investing into the alts space when fear was at its peak, notice how great of a return you could have made by diversifying into alts. We're talking about overall this index being about 2,000% up. Now, during the liquidation episode, we certainly did have this aggressive pullback, but again, if you are looking to solidify your view into this very strong alts season, you can tell that during that day on Sunday, we had what is typically known as a massive absorption. Whenever we have a fall, and let me show you a typical fall that would definitely have, or you would be expecting to have more legs. So whenever you have a one-day fall with the price closing around the lows of the day, you will see more often than not that there is a correction and another push lower, as there is a residual sell side pressure. Whereas in here, notice that there was so much buy side commitment and interest on this dip that in a matter of one single day, that was already a big telling sign through the absorption that the market was very, very willing to put on heavy bids that supports the resumption of this bullish trend. And we're starting to see that this micro descending trend line that could be drawn from the very top. Sorry, let me just grab the proper line, which would be, one second, this one here. So you can start to see that this descending trend line is about to be broken. It might just be a matter of one more candle. If we break and accept with prices accepting above this trend line, I think that we are off to the races, and alts should really be outperforming once again either the Bitcoin market or the US dollar Tether. All right, so there you have it. I've gone through my go-to template whenever it is that I want to understand the big context, you know, getting that eagle view in the crypto space. And this is vitally important because it will help us to frame our thesis on what it is, on what markets are most inclined to keep appreciating, what markets are the ones that most of this money flow is going into. And for me, there is no question in my mind that the alts space is the place to be. All right, so with that being said, I beg you all do. I will be providing more updates, and if you find value in these videos, please make sure that you smash the like button, you leave your comments, and I will make sure that even if you have some requests, I will make those requests come true. You can always reach out to me in the Discord room. The link is in the description box. Cheers.